3 weeks ago, the whole world was talking about Vinicius Jr. They were talking about Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, Brazil's most dangerous squad in years. Nobody was talking about the 18-year-old in green that Morocco brought to the MetLife Stadium. That was a mistake. Because while Brazil's superstars were being outpressed, outpassed, and outplayed in their own World Cup group opener, this kid, this teenager that France was desperate to keep, ran the show. 87 touches, 91% pass accuracy, Casemiro chasing shadows. The world just met Ayyoub Bouaddi, and the World Cup has a serious problem.
And he played better, but playing better from where he was is nowhere near the Real Madrid Casemiro. So you take it in, and okay, international football is slower and can be more pedestrian at times. But in this heat, in these big pitches and big stadiums, he's going to have to get around the field. And he struggles to do that. He's got all the experience to put himself in the right position. But if you don't...
Here's what the numbers actually say. 87 touches, more than any other Moroccan on the pitch, 91% passing accuracy, 100% completion in the final third, 60 of 66 passes completed, making him the second youngest player to hit 50-plus completions in a World Cup match since records started in 1966. 6 recoveries, 5 interceptions, 9 duels won. Casemiro, the man Real Madrid paid 80 million euros for, the man who won 5 Champions Leagues, spent 90 minutes chasing an 18-year-old who refused to be still. Morocco actually outperformed Brazil on XG, 1.4, right, 6 to 1.27. That is not a draw that flattered Morocco. That is a draw that flattered Brazil. So what kind of player is Bouaddi? He plays as a box-to-box central midfielder. But that label doesn't capture it. He presses without stopping. He positions himself in gaps before the gaps exist. He is a mathematics student in real life, and it shows on the pitch. The angles he finds, the passes he releases at exactly the right moment, it is almost academic. He dissects midfields the same way you would solve a problem on paper, calm, methodical, relentless. The Olympics actually described him, and I think this is the most accurate line ever written about him, as the 18-year-old mathematics student solving Morocco's midfield equation. He genuinely plays like that. To understand how big this moment is, you have to go back to the beginning. Born in Senlis, so a small town north of Paris, to Moroccan parents, Bouaddi grew up in the French system, joined the Lille Academy in 2021, and almost immediately it was clear this was something different. 3 days after his 16th birthday, Lille put him in the Conference League. Not on the bench, on the pitch. 16 years and 3 days old. The youngest player in the history of that competition, the youngest player ever to represent Lille, and then, months later, Lille drew Real Madrid in the Champions League. They handed Bouaddi the start on his 17th birthday, against Jude Bellingham, against Tchouaméni, against Camavinga, and Lille won, 1-0.
Changed the system, they couldn't quite get so much possession. But I think they're going to be a good side. There's no doubt about it.
Well, of course, coming to this as you like it or not, they are the African Cup of Nations winners, and they're a team that I imagine will go deep in this tournament, who you don't particularly want to face.
Yeah, I think they do have the potential to go deep. I don't think it's as much of a guarantee. Like, obviously, they made it to the semi-final at the last time. Yeah.
But here's the twist most people missed. Bouaddi was a French youth international. The French Football Federation was pushing hard. Everyone at Lille knew what they had. France was sure they would keep him. And then in May of this year, just weeks before the World Cup began, Bouaddi made his decision. FIFA approved the switch. He chose Morocco, his parents' country, not France, the 2018 world champions. Not a nation with Mbappé, Camavinga, Tchouaméni in the squad, Morocco. He said, and I quote, "I am proud to represent my country. I saw from the start that this was the right decision." And then he went to the MetLife Stadium to prove it. The proof has been building for 2 years. When Lille faced Real Madrid in the Champions League, Bouaddi, 17 years old on his birthday, held his own against Bellingham, Tchouaméni, and Camavinga simultaneously. Lille won 1-0. Then at the World Cup, under the full glare of the biggest tournament in football, he did it again against Casemiro and Bruno Guimaraes. 2 of the most decorated midfield lines he could possibly have faced. He went right through both of them. That is not a coincidence. That is a player who rises specifically when the stakes get higher. He does not shrink. He expands. Every time the moment gets bigger, Bouaddi gets better. Which brings us to the problem, because now everyone knows. Arsenal have already made their move. Lille are reportedly demanding 70 million euros. Chelsea are watching. PSG are watching. Manchester United want him. Every director of football in European football is trying to get on a call. The kid France was certain they would convince, the one they assumed would stay in their system, is at the World Cup in Moroccan colours, about to become one of the most sought-after teenagers in the history of the transfer market. He is 18 years old. This was his World Cup debut. France let him walk away for nothing. And in one 90-minute group game against Brazil, he showed the entire planet exactly why that was one of the biggest mistakes in French football history. Remember the name, Ayyoub Bouaddi. The World Cup has a problem.